Just with Ethan, kind of watching from afar, it feels like he's growing with each game, kind of personality and confidence to beat people and take shots. Are you seeing that rate of growth, same speed?
Yes, probably much faster than we all expected. But yeah, I think what is surprising is probably the confidence and his decision making, especially in ball possession, the risk that he takes, the initiative that he takes, and how careless he is about, okay, what's the situation? Is somebody else more open? I just want to do it. And I love that on the player, and now he needs to do it consistently every 3 days.
Is it a case of giving him freedom with regard to that decision?
For sure, and especially a player with that talent, get him very, very far from thinking mode, let him express himself, put him in the environment, put him in the context that he can exploit his qualities as often as he possibly can, surrounded by players that fit his qualities.
Some people talk about this style of football, and also as it's seen as sometimes creative players have to think about the system more than their own flair. Is that the case with Ethan, that you kind of want him to not be coached as much?
Well, there are certain duties that in a collective sport you have to be able to do, and you have to do it in the right timing as well, because that's essential, especially in football. But then you're going to have the freedom to express their creativity within certain spaces, with the certain connections that are developed within the team that are just thought and agreed to improve the players' qualities. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
When Raheem obviously first signed on loan in the window this season, you were very glowing in terms of him as a player, because you obviously knew him from Man City. In a way, because you've obviously worked with him so long in the past, are you surprised by the fact that he's not really hit the ground running per se so far? Because obviously you know him so well and you know what he's capable of, what he's done in the past.
Yeah, well, I think to compare two aspects when they are so far, especially in time, it was very difficult, and as well a context where he was playing every 3 days, every minute of every game, every competition. And with us, since his arrival, it hasn't been the case for another reasons, and we are very aware that that wasn't going to be the case from day one. But he's still that, and the most beautiful part of the season is still to come, and he's going to have a big opportunity there.
He's been playing obviously regular first team football since age about 17, year in, year out.
Yeah.
How much do you think this is part of just impacting his legs? Because obviously he's now 30. A lot of players break through when they're 20, 21. Is this accumulation of just wear and tear possible?
I don't think so. When I see him running, sprinting, accelerating, putting his brakes on in training or on the game, I don't think it's related to that.
And for a while now, week to week, it's been always do or die. It seems every game that you have to win, you have to win. What's that kind of like mentally to deal with, and how do you kind of get the players on board that it's game after game rather than you have to, like, the pressure each week?
But that's it. I think the moment you signed and you walk into this building or you are part of this football club, that's the demands. Nobody has to explain. You're at the highest level. That's what you expect to do. And you have to do it regardless of what the circumstances are.
Jordan?
Hi, Mikel. Liverpool seem to control their emotions really well so far this season. They've had a few slip-ups, but you've been there as a leader. When you've had those slip-ups, how hard is it to regain that composure, that emotional control?
When you don't win a game, for example, you mean, or...
Yeah, when you're at the top and you have a few slip-ups and there are people chasing you.
Yeah, well, there is always that concern, because the moment you keep certain results that you don't put together, the other teams are catching up if they manage to win those games. But that's the pressure.
And you think in the last 2 seasons when you've been going for the title, that emotional control, that's what you were lacking, maybe, and that's what any team can lack in those big pressure moments?
I don't think that was the case. I think there were other factors, I think, more, and especially in some games, especially at home, that we generated so much that we didn't put them to bed. So that clinical aspect in the box, that is so crucial as well, to keep winning. And
just finally, with Saka out, it's been kind of a lot of pressure on Declan in terms of corners and him being the main taker. Has that been a big responsibility on his shoulders to be the main delivery taker for corners and providing those assists?
Yeah, well, it's been since we decided to use him, because he's unbelievable in his delivery, so consistent, and we scored a lot of goals. And that curve is impossible to maintain at the level that was, especially at the start of the season. We know it's going to fluctuate. We have to improve again, and and have threat from everywhere, as I always said, and that's an aspect that in recent weeks we can do better.
Okay, Ed.
We've got to mention that you managed to try and re-energise the team after all these injuries. For you personally, how difficult was it for you to come up with a plan to fill these gaps? Were you kind of sitting up all night thinking, who could I play? Take you talk us through the process.
Yeah, I had those moments, obviously, because it was a big worry, losing 4 from players of that level and the importance of the team. You're scratching your head to say, okay, so how are we going to now compensate this lack of threat, of goals, of assists, of options, of who's going to fill those minutes, and you start to generate a lot of options, some more realistic, some others thinking in a completely different way as well, and then what really re-energized me is the team, is the staff, is the players, looking at them, that if I tell them to play in any position, to do anything, I know that they are ready for it and they're going to do it really convinced. Not because it has to be done, it's because they really feel it.
And was there something in particular about Mikel Merino that you thought he could be the guy to start up as a striker? Was it particular skill attribute that he's got?
No. Yeah, well, he's a massive goal threat from positions that he can attack and arrive in the box. The timing, how he smells danger, how he can execute as well with many parts of his body as well, and the fact that he's very experienced and very intelligent. So if somebody's going to have to adapt to another position, it's him. It can be Leo, it can be Ras that has played in that position. We have Nathan as well that can play there. We have other options.
Okay, last 2 now. Gary from the Times.
Gary, in the last couple of years, you've been at the top quite a few, most periods of the season. This year, you haven't been top of the league at all. Can you apply the same pressure on Liverpool, and how would you apply the same pressure on Liverpool to breathe down their necks that you had sort of City breathing down your necks the last year, the last 2 seasons? How would you? What's the feeling of that? The sort of living feeling, and can you apply that same? Because
I prefer to depend on me, because when you depend on somebody else, there are too many factors. But it feels different, it feels like, we can generate the right momentum, and the team with his performances is able to convince himself that we can do it is a big factor, because suddenly we feel really, really strong. And that's probably mentally a point that it can go for us.
Okay, finally we'll go to David from Gazzetta dello Sport.
Hi.
You have a situation in which you have basically 3 forwards to run probably the international play. How much the fact that you're playing every 3 days and you have so few players change the way you rotate the team?
Yeah, we have to be very cautious, because as well those players that have to now be loaded in a very different way, they haven't had that exposure. So the risk increases. It's more uncertainty, how they can cope with that, and the thing that we really need is, first of all, availability and those players to be fit in the best conditions to compete. So we have made some adjustments there.
Okay, everyone, thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.